On the morning of January 24th, 2006, a young woman vanished without a trace. No witnesses, no struggle, no clear suspect. For investigators, the case appeared to be heading toward a dead end. Then they found a surveillance camera, and suddenly, it seemed like the mystery was about to be solved. The footage showed a person believed to be connected to Jennifer Kesse's abandoned vehicle. The camera captured them walking directly across the frame. Not once, not twice, but over multiple images. Investigators finally had what every missing person case hopes for. A face, or so they thought, because when they reviewed the footage, they discovered something almost impossible. At the exact moment, the person's face should have been visible. It was hidden, blocked by a fence post. Every single time. Even today, nearly 2 decades later, nobody knows who this person was. And many believe that hidden face may be the key to solving one of America's most baffling disappearances. This is the mystery of Jennifer Kesse. Before Jennifer Kesse became the center of one of America's most famous unsolved disappearances, she was simply living what appeared to be a promising and ordinary life. At 24 years old, Jennifer had recently purchased a condominium in Orlando, Florida. Friends described her as responsible, ambitious, and independent. She worked as a financial analyst and had built a reputation as someone who rarely acted impulsively. By all accounts, she was organized, reliable, the kind of person who followed routines. And those routines would soon become extremely important. In January 2006, Jennifer had just returned from vacation with her boyfriend. Nothing seemed unusual. Nothing suggested that she was about to disappear. The evening of January 23rd unfolded much like any other. Jennifer spoke with family members. She talked with her boyfriend and eventually settled in for the night inside her condominium. It would be the last confirmed time anyone heard from her. The next morning, Jennifer was expected at work, but she never arrived. At first, co-workers assumed she was running late. Then concern began to grow. Calls went unanswered. Messages were never returned. And for those who knew Jennifer best, something felt very wrong. Because disappearing without warning wasn't something she would do. Not according to her family. Not according to her friends. And certainly not according to the life she had spent years building. As the hours passed, concern quickly turned into alarm. What nobody realized at the time was that investigators were already entering the first hours of a mystery that would remain unsolved for decades. As investigators began searching for Jennifer, one question stood above all others. What was her car? If Jennifer had left voluntarily, the vehicle would likely provide answers. If something had happened to her, the vehicle might provide evidence. Eventually, investigators got their answer. Jennifer's black Chevrolet Malibu was discovered parked approximately 1 mile from her condominium complex. At first glance, the vehicle appeared ordinary. There were no obvious signs of a violent struggle. No immediate clues explaining what had happened. Yet its location raised questions. Someone had driven the car there. Someone had parked it. And someone had walked away. But who? Jennifer? Or someone else? Investigators carefully processed the vehicle. Fingerprints were collected. Evidence was examined. And attention quickly shifted toward the area surrounding the parking location. That's when they discovered something critical. A nearby surveillance camera had recorded activity around the time the vehicle was abandoned. For investigators, this was potentially the breakthrough they desperately needed. The camera might reveal exactly who left the vehicle. It might reveal where they went. It might even solve the case entirely. But what the footage ultimately revealed would become one of the most frustrating pieces of evidence in modern true crime history. For investigators, the discovery of Jennifer's vehicle was important. But the surveillance footage recorded nearby was something far more valuable. Because if someone had abandoned Jennifer's car, the camera might reveal exactly who that person was. The footage showed an individual walking away from the area where Jennifer's Chevrolet Malibu had been parked. At first glance, this appeared to be the break investigators desperately needed. The person wasn't hidden in the distance. They weren't captured for only a split second. They walked directly through the camera's field of view. Multiple frames, multiple opportunities, multiple chances to identify them. Everything suggested investigators were about to get a clear image of the person's face. Then they reviewed the footage, and what they discovered was almost unbelievable. Standing between the camera and the person was a fence. A simple row of vertical fence posts. Normally, this wouldn't be a problem. A person walking across the frame would eventually emerge between the gaps. Their face would become visible, even if only for a moment. But that's not what happened. As investigators examined the footage frame by frame, they noticed something extraordinary. Every single image captured the person's face directly behind a fence post. Not partially visible, not blurred, blocked, completely blocked. Every time, frame after frame produced the exact same result. The person's body could be seen. Their clothing could be seen. Their height could be estimated. Their build could be analyzed. But the one detail investigators needed most, their face, never appeared. It was as if the camera had been cursed, or as if someone had carefully planned their route to avoid identification. But there was a problem with that theory. The individual almost certainly had no idea the camera was even there, which means the alignment appears to have been nothing more than incredible coincidence. A coincidence so unlikely that many people still struggle to believe it. Investigators estimated the camera captured only a few images each second. Unfortunately, those images happened to be recorded at the exact moments a fence post blocked the person's face. Had the camera captured a frame a fraction of a second earlier, or a fraction of a second later, the mystery might have ended that day. Instead, investigators were left with a silhouette. A person whose identity remains unknown nearly 2 decades later. And that mystery only deepened as experts began studying the footage more closely. Analysts examined the video repeatedly. They attempted to estimate the individual's height, their walking pattern, their clothing, anything that might generate a lead. The person appeared to be wearing light-colored work clothes. Some investigators believe this detail could be significant. At the time, Jennifer's condominium complex was undergoing construction and renovation work. Numerous workers had access to the area. Many were present daily. Some had reportedly caught Jennifer's attention before her disappearance. But despite years of analysis, no definitive identification was ever made. The person captured on camera remained exactly what they are today. Unknown, and that's what makes this case so haunting. Investigators weren't searching for a suspect hidden in darkness. They weren't trying to identify a shadow hundreds of feet away. The person was right there, walking directly across the frame. Visible, recorded, documented, yet somehow impossible to identify. To this day, nobody knows whether the individual seen on camera was responsible for Jennifer's disappearance. A witness who unknowingly passed through the scene, or the one person who could explain what happened after Jennifer vanished. And the deeper investigators looked into Jennifer's life, the more complicated the mystery became. As investigators worked to piece together Jennifer Kesse's final known movements, one reality became impossible to ignore. There was no shortage of theories. The problem was evidence. Nearly every possibility seemed plausible, yet none could be proven. And as the years passed, investigators found themselves returning to the same unanswered question. Who was the person seen on camera? Because if that mystery could be solved, everything else might finally fall into place. One of the earliest theories focused on the condominium complex where Jennifer lived. At the time of her disappearance, portions of the property were still undergoing construction and renovation. Workers regularly moved throughout the area. Many had access to locations residents rarely monitored. And according to reports, Jennifer had previously expressed discomfort about some of the workers she encountered around the complex. Investigators naturally considered the possibility that someone familiar with the property could have targeted her. It was a theory that appeared to fit several aspects of the case. A worker would understand the layout. A worker could potentially move around the area without drawing attention. And the clothing seen on the unidentified person in the surveillance footage seemed consistent with work attire. But there was a problem. Despite extensive investigation, authorities never found enough evidence to directly connect any specific worker to Jennifer's disappearance. No arrest followed. No definitive suspect emerged. And one of the most discussed theories remained exactly that, a theory. But what if Jennifer wasn't targeted because of where she lived? What if someone had specifically chosen her? Another theory suggests Jennifer's disappearance may have been carefully planned. Supporters of this idea point to several details. Jennifer vanished during what should have been a normal workday. Her vehicle was relocated, and whoever moved it appeared calm enough to park it and leave the area on foot. To some investigators, this didn't look random. It looked deliberate. If Jennifer had been specifically targeted, the offender may have known her routine, known when she left for work, known where she parked, and known exactly when to act. But once again, evidence became the obstacle. Investigators found no confirmed stalker, no known enemy, no individual who clearly stood out as the person responsible. The theory explained some questions, yet failed to answer others, and the mystery remained, which brought investigators back to the same image, the same unknown figure, the same hidden face. Because if the person captured on camera was involved, identifying them could potentially confirm or eliminate entire theories. Yet year after year, their identity remained hidden. Perhaps the most unsettling possibility is also the simplest. What if the person on camera had absolutely nothing to do with Jennifer's disappearance? It sounds unlikely. After all, they were recorded near Jennifer's abandoned vehicle. They appeared at a critical moment in the investigation, and they became the central focus of the case. But investigators have never publicly confirmed that the individual was responsible. In fact, some have suggested the person may have simply been the individual who parked the car, not necessarily the person who harmed Jennifer. Others have speculated that they may have been an unwitting witness, someone who unknowingly crossed paths with one of America's most famous unsolved mysteries. If that's true, then the actual offender may never have appeared on camera at all. And that possibility creates an even larger problem, because it means investigators could have spent years chasing a shadow. Nearly 20 years later, experts still debate the significance of the image. Some believe the unidentified figure is the key to everything. Others believe the answer lies somewhere else entirely. But regardless of which theory is correct, one fact remains unchanged. Jennifer Kesse disappeared, and nobody has ever explained what happened to her. Most missing person cases fade from public memory over time. New stories emerge, new investigations begin, and eventually the attention moves elsewhere. But the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse has endured for a different reason, because this case feels so close to being solved. Investigators found her vehicle, they recovered evidence, and they captured an unidentified person on surveillance footage. The ingredients of a breakthrough were all there. Yet the one detail investigators needed most was never revealed. A face. Just a face. One clear image might have changed everything. One unobstructed frame might have provided a name, a lead, a suspect, or an answer. Instead, the fence post became one of the most infamous details in true crime history. A strange coincidence that transformed potentially decisive evidence into an enduring mystery. Today, Jennifer's family continues to search for answers. Investigators continue to examine leads, and countless people continue to stare at the same surveillance image, asking the same question. Who was this person? Were they responsible? Were they a witness? Or were they simply caught in a moment that would haunt investigators for decades? Until that question is answered, the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse remains one of the most frustrating and compelling CCTV mysteries ever recorded. What do you think? Was the person captured on surveillance footage involved in Jennifer's disappearance? Or has the most famous image in this case distracted investigators from the real answer? Share your theory in the comments below. If you're fascinated by real CCTV mysteries, unexplained footage, and unsolved disappearances, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because sometimes the most important clue is hiding in plain sight. And sometimes it's hidden behind a fence post.